Hello there everybody, it's YT Review again, and today we're going to be reviewing the Clone Army of the Republic, also known as TCAR. This group is a Star Wars RP Clone Army group, and it's got about 16k members, and the holder is Siege Squad. The community of this game is great, even though there's so many people. You can still get to personally know some of your commanders or your commanding officers, which is just great. So I just want to quickly tell you about all of HighCom, which are the L's, before we get started on reviewing the divisions and I show you the map. So the L0, the Force, the creator, is not just a host, holder. He helps out coordinate ads and the troops. He personally involves himself with everything. And his name is Siege Squad. Here we have the L1, the Chancellor, the Supreme Chancellor. His name is Artillery Squad, and his job is basically to release ads, and he's the political head of everything, to CAR. In the L2 position, we have the Supreme Commander, whose job is to basically coordinate all the different divisions. And then in the L3, we have the Grand Marshal Group, which is composed of 2 people at a time, since there's Sector 1 and 2. And each sector includes a few of the divisions, which is kind of cool, because they do basically Sector 1 and Sector 2 rallies. Basically to make sure that the game isn't always 100% full, and they have to worry about lag, which is just a great idea. So now we're going to be moving on to the divisions they have. Disclaimer that some of these groups aren't currently active, and because they're just not using them, and some of these groups are newly formed or have been under use for a while now. So not every group that I tell you about is going to be active, and you can try out for it. And I'm going to be also missing some groups because they're not currently active for me. So the first division I want to talk about is the 21st Galactic Marines, which is currently run by the commander called Mini Thief 1-3. The 21st Galactic Marines are basically the elite force of TCAR, but they're newly formed, they're very small, and they're currently trying to get a lot of people for their division, so there's not much to say about them yet. So that's basically all you need to know about them. The second division I want to talk about is the 442nd Siege Battalion, currently run by the commander called Quacky Ducko 31. There's some cool things that they have. They have shields, and that's basically their signature tool. And they're currently recruiting. They just got a new executive officer, and they're very welcoming to all people, is what I've heard. The next division I want to talk about is SG, also known as Senate Guard, currently run by the Commander Imladris Guard. Their job is to basically guard VIPs, like people in HighCom, Grand Marshals, those kind of people. And they get lots of cool tools, including a Senate Guard weapon with like a Senate Guard blaster, a force pike to knock people down, a shock staff, and just a normal like vibroblade staff. So it's a pretty hard division to get into. There's a whole endless thing you have to go through, but otherwise it's a pretty cool division to get into. So the next division I want to talk about isn't really a division, it's a subdivision, which means you can be in it and be in a main division, which is the ARC program, the Advanced Recon Commandos. They are very, very skilled and known for their
tenacity, and it's a very hard program to get into. It's part of the SOB, which is the Special Operations. I forget. Sorry. Um, I I don't know much about it. All I know is that it's a very hard division to get into, and it's currently run by a commander called Sas Itaka. The next division I want to talk about is called the Red Guard, which is in charge of basically guarding VIPs also, but also the high-com meetings and so on. They're sworn to secrecy. They take an oath of silence. Um, they're a very puzzling group. I don't know much about them. All I know about them is that they guard a hallway that leads to the high-com meeting room and the RG bunks. So yeah, that's basically all I know about them. The next division I want to talk about is the 212th Attack Battalion, which is currently run by Lightest Patience. Um, they're a pretty large group now. They're reaching their cap and they're not really trying out people anymore. So if you want to try out for 212, that's not likely to happen. Because as you can see, it's pretty full. And it's I've been in it a few times. It's a pretty great group. The community is very kind, and yeah. The next group I want to talk about is the 501st Battalion. It's yeah. There's not really much to tell. And other than that, the commander for it is Desolate_Ranch. It actually includes the 332nd Company, which I think was a cool addition. And how fast they added it was very awesome. It just made the game that much better. I've been in it a few times. The community when I was in it was also kind and very helpful to me when I wanted to move on. So if you're a 500 first fan and you want to join, I think they're recruiting currently, so go ahead. The very last division I want to talk about is CG, the Coruscant Guard, the police force of TCAR. I'm currently in CG. I'm in the Hound Company, which is basically like the canine unit of it. But never mind that. The current commander is Xavier Benny, and CG is always recruiting. It's not one of the divisions that gets shut down and then rebooted at all because CG is always required. Their jobs are basically to guard the prison and arrest people who are disobeying the rules. And most people think of CG as speds, but maybe I'm biased. I think the CG community, once you get to know them, it can be kind, but it's just if you keep calling them speds, they're just gonna hate you. So when you see them, just don't do that like everybody else. And yeah, that's all I have to say about CG. The last thing I wanted to talk about before the overall review is the map. So recently they've released a new Kashyyyk V2. Unfortunately, at the moment I only have two pictures to show you, but trust me, the graphics on it are great. There's shadows, the grass moves. They even have a ray shield that actually blocks bullets, which I think is awesome. They have high-com meeting room, RG bunks, a prison with working cells, and then they also have like fighters and all that are all props. But the map is really well made. So if I had to give the map a rating out of 1 out of 10, I'd probably give it a 9.5 due to graphics and just design.
So now for the overall review. Reviewing it on activity out of scale of 1 and 10, I'd give it a 8.5 because there's always a few people online no matter what. Events,
like how many events they have a day, definitely a 10. They have a bunch of BTs, basic trainings, combat trainings, defensive training, and tryouts. You know, just a bunch of opportunities. The community, kindness, and how well they want to integrate themselves with each other is probably going to be a 8, because everybody is there to just have fun, which is what I really like about this group. And so if you're ever looking for a good Clone Wars RP group, make sure to check out TCAR on the group's page. And who knows, you might even rank up all the way to the OA Academy and become a commander. Okay, that's it for the video, and I'll see you next time.